So we got a little bit of news today. Caleb Williams, the 5-star number one quarterback in the country for the class of 2021, has made his announcement date known. We know already that he was going to be deciding among three universities. It was either going to be Oklahoma, LSU, or Maryland. And Caleb Williams has now let it be known that he has set his commitment date. He will commit on the 4th of July of this year. So this is a really cool thing Caleb Williams has been doing throughout his recruitment process. He agreed to give Sports Illustrated sort of this exclusive access into his world, and they've allowed him to blog, to chronicle his journey throughout the recruitment process and throughout his senior year. And so he's blogging for SI, and his blog is called Caleb Williams, All on the Line. And today in his blog post, shorter blog post, but he announced that he'll be making his commitment on the 4th of July, again, choosing among Oklahoma, LSU, and Maryland. Maryland is sort of the home state school. Oklahoma makes a ton of sense because it really fits his skill set, and that that Oklahoma fits his skill set. And then as they continue to turn over, when you look at Baker Mayfield and Kyler Murray and, of course, Jalen Hurts this past year, it's just sort of next. Now it'll be Spencer Rattler and then potentially Caleb Williams if he commits there. But LSU is very much in the mix as well for Caleb Williams. It is worth noting, however, that Caleb Williams, if you look at his 247 profile, 100% of the crystal balls have projected him to Oklahoma. And the crystal balls are when 24/7 sports analysts make their prediction as to where a prospect is going to commit, and 100% of them for Caleb Williams are Oklahoma. So it's I would say at best it's unlikely that LSU lands Caleb Williams. Had COVID-19 not happened, and had they been able to get him on campus for an official visit, and I guess still could, maybe this goes a little differently, but it feels like when all the top people in the industry know or in agreement or all in lockstep on a certain player, generally they know how this is going to fall. There's always surprises. Maybe Caleb Williams commits to Oklahoma and then at some point during the fall is able to get to Baton Rouge and make an official visit, and they might be able to do a number and flip him. But either way, just the fact that, and I am going to play sort of the moral victory card here, and I don't want to completely concede because maybe Caleb Williams will pick LSU. But even if he doesn't, you've already got Garrett Nussmeier committed, and I know for a fact that LSU staff members are extremely high on Max Johnson. So you got Miles Brennan for at least one, maybe 2 seasons, and then you've got Max Johnson and TJ Finley in the queue, and they love Max Johnson. It's not to disparage Finley or say he can't be great, but I know from firsthand conversations that I've had that they love Max Johnson. And then you've got Nussmeier there in the fold as well coming in. So it's not like you're in desperate need of more quarterback depth. But, of course, if you can get a 5-star number one quarterback in the country, you take him. But just the fact that LSU is in this conversation is a win. Because these are the types of players that have always been in the mix. When you look at their finalists, it's Oklahoma, it's Ohio State, it's USC, more recently, Georgia, Alabama. It's never LSU. It's never LSU. But the fact that you can produce a Heisman Trophy winning quarterback, put up record-breaking offensive numbers, produce a Heisman Trophy winner in a national championship, and a number one overall pick at quarterback, the most important position on the field, you're no longer selling an idea. When you go recruit now, when Steve Ensminger sits in a living room, when Ed Ogeron goes and sits in a living room, he's no longer saying, hey, all we're missing is you. That's not the pitch anymore. The pitch is, hey, you remember Joe Burrow? It's the trump card that Lincoln Riley has been able to play. Hey, did you see when I made Baker Mayfield a Heisman winner? And then the next year, the kid who came in won the Heisman. And then the next year, the kid who came in was a Heisman finalist. He's got that. He's had that trump card. LSU can play that card now as well. You see our offense, the one where our quarterback threw for 5,000 yards and 60 touchdowns. You want to come throw 2 or 3 first-round draft pick wide receivers, like, you're in that mix now. And that is, like, that more than anything is why I'm confident that LSU as a program ain't going nowhere. Like, I've probably been more bullish on what LSU has coming back than most people. Like, every interview I do, people focus on, man, how's LSU going to replace Joe Burrow? And how are they going to replace Justin Jefferson and Grant Delpit and Fulton? Just on and on. You know the list, right? I mean, 5 first-round draft picks. A record-setting number of players drafted then into the NFL. But look at what they have coming back as well. I think that's where LSU is as a program. But just the fact that the number 1 player in the country, the number 1 quarterback in the country, is making his announcement on the 4th of July, and he's got Oklahoma, which you would expect, and he's got the sort of hometown team there in Maryland, and then you see that LSU Tiger head, all of a sudden every recruit in the country, they look at that and they go, oh, all right. That becomes, to a 15, 16, 17-year-old, that becomes normal because that's what they know for LSU. They don't know anything about Jarrett Lee. No disrespect. They don't know anything about Jordan Jefferson. They don't know anything about, who's that kid from Harvard? Oh, Andrew Hatch. They don't know anything about Andrew Hatch. You think Caleb Williams knows who Andrew Hatch is? That's why. Even if they don't get him, the moral victory is there because it becomes more normal for the best players in the country at the most important position on the field to see LSU's logo and for that to be accepted.